What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Devin the Bear. Here we're going to talk about UFC 280. There's a lot to talk about. There's a whole bunch of shit to talk about. There's no other way to put it. So let's get right into it. Pretty much, we wanted to brush up real quick on some prelim fights. Nikita Krylov got a decision win over Volkan Ozdemir. That was a great fight.
It was very fun, very back and forth.
And I really enjoyed it. I don't really know Nikita Krylov that well. I know he's a veteran in the game when it comes to fighting. And fun fact about him was going into this fight, he only has had 10 fights go to decision, which is a crazy thing to say out of 38 fights. I mean, that's I don't know, man. Do the math. I don't feel like doing it right now, but yeah, it was a great fight though. I mean, when it came to it, man, I mean, he was landing heavy shots. He was getting the takedowns, and I think Volkan needed a fight like that to show that he is an exciting fighter that we kind of forgot about him.
Yeah, I think people have definitely forgotten about him. Krylov too, though. I feel like he's kind of fallen into this realm of he's supposed to be a great striker and he never has the chance to be one, and then he loses usually a decision. Has he's been knocked out?
I'm not sure.
Well, it was definitely a fight that they both needed, win or lose. I think it looked good for both of them. Volkan didn't get the win, but he proved that he can still do it. So
yeah,
I'm pretty happy with that fight. And then the headline for the prelims was really good as well.
Yeah, I know you were excited.
Yeah, Sean Brady, I'm a huge fan of, as we talked about last time, and then Bilal Muhammad, I'm also a huge fan of. So that was a great matchup to me, and I think it delivered. I think it delivered pretty well. That first round was very good.
It was a great fight. It was a really fun one. I do with the first 4 minutes, when Brady went for the takedown, they were kind of obvious feints, or it was like there's no way you're gonna be able to catch this guy off guard with a read like that. Well, it was what I kind of said it was gonna be, because Bilal has better experience, has much more experience whenever it comes down to it. I know that Sean Brady has won some grappling tournaments, but when it came to it, it's just like with Bilal striking, we're finally seeing it round out. He's definitely worked on his hands a lot. And it was like the last minute of the first round. I'm not sure if you noticed it. I'm sure you did, but when he picked up the pace a lot, like he just, he started going really fast. And when Sean Brady couldn't keep up, that right there, that told me that Bilal Muhammad knows right there that he's got this in the bag. He's like, okay, you know what? He can't keep this pace with me. Like, I'm better than him right here.
What's funny is Sean Brady's corner, which was James Krause, I believe, could be wrong, was telling him, you'd have to look at who it is because I don't remember. I think it was James Krause, but they were telling him like, Bilal doesn't have an answer for you. He doesn't have an answer for you. I'm like, an answer for what though? And I think DC or Paul Felder, one of them was saying, well, I think what they were meaning is that he took Bilal's best shots, and they feel like if Sean Brady can walk through those, then he'll be okay. And Bilal's got nothing else for him, which turned out to not be true. Because Bilal ended up getting the TKO win, the second round, right?
Yeah, second round.
And yeah, it was definitely a case of Bilal had the better experience. He knew what to do and when to do it. Been around the block, but now Sean Brady's been there too. So I think Sean Brady can learn from it and come back.
Yeah,
hopefully better.
I believe so. I think with the fight too, although also like Bilal took his best shots, and that was in the first round, and then he's able to brush it off. He's shown a lot more composure than he has in the past when it came to getting hit. I mean, I think the last time we really saw him hurt was against Leon Edwards before the eye poke in that first round. And that he was never really able to come back, after that. But Bilal did exactly what you should do to a wrestler, if that can't get you down. He just pressured him. He made him fight. He made Sean Brady fight on the back foot, and Sean Brady didn't know what to do. And so, I really feel like Sean Brady just really didn't try to push him back at also to force him to fight him in the middle as well to get his back off the cage. But so Bilal Muhammad, I'm not sure what to do with him next. I would be okay with the title shot for him though.
I wish that they would, but they won't. I don't see that happening. It really depends on what happens with the rematch between Leon and Kamaru.
Yeah.
If Kamaru wins it, I don't see them giving Bilal the title shot.
No.
If Leon wins it, maybe. But now they're talking about Colby Covington fighting Hamzat. So I have no idea. I feel like that fight is going to be a title fight or a title contention fight, even though it should be Bilal. It won't be. just because that's how they do things. That's how they do things, especially with someone that we're about to talk about on the main card. But first, you had Manon Fiorot. No, Fior. That's how it said. I said Fiorot. Uh, Trying my best with French. But yeah, it's Manon Fior. She had a decision win against Caitlin Chukagian, looked real solid. The big thing is that she's ready. She could be the person to beat Valentina. I don't think she's ready. Not that I did before, but you couldn't land where you wanted to against Caitlin Chukagian. You're not going to against Valentina. But that brings us to Benil Dariush beating Machachev Gamrot. And that's another guy who, even though he's won, that's a 9-fight win streak now.
Yes, sir.
So even though he's on a 9-fight win streak of almost nothing but top guys, I still don't see them giving him the title shot, because now they're going to have to give him a title shot against Islam,
Right.
or do you do the rematch with Charles Oliveira? I don't know. I don't know, but Benil looked really good.
Yeah.
And it was a very fun fight.
It was a great fight. I really, really enjoyed this fight. Benil went out there and took out. He fought below him, which a lot of fighters in the lightweight division aren't willing to do. A lot of fighters in general aren't willing to fight below them. And so, but we saw both guys. Saturday, we saw both guys Saturday day, I guess, during the daytime, were willing to do that. Bilal Muhammad and Benil Dariush, and they both had great performances. With Dariush though, I really liked his performance. Like everywhere that the fight went, he was in control. Even when he got taken down, he was able to reverse positioning and able to get back on top. Matush Gamrot will be back, I'm sure of it. It was another, but
if you just look at their grappling exchanges, how good and high level their sweeps and reverses were, that was so fun to watch for the little bit that we got to see it. But you see the level at which Machus can fight at, he'll be back.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so with Benil though, they asked him after the fight, do you have anybody you want to call out? And he's like, well, I don't have the answers for that. I'm like, Benil, why do you be such a good guy, man?
Yeah.
Just say fuck it and say something. But I get why, it's just not who he is. He's not going to ever force somebody to be somebody that he's not. He's true to himself. And that's why I'm a big fan of him. I've enjoyed seeing this resurgence that he's had recently. Like you said, he's on a 9-fight win streak. A win over Matush Gamrot is not easy at all. But I mean, everything he did looked good though. His stand-up looked good. His jiu-jitsu always looks good. His defense was on point. So it was a great fight. I don't think he gets a title shot, like you said. I mean, I wish he would, because who else are you going to give the title shot to though? I mean, look at the top 5. Who are you going to have in there? Like Justin Gaethje won't fight below him. There's just a lot going on with that.
No one knows what's going on with Dustin.
No one knows what's going on with Dustin. Is he going to fight at 170? Is he going to fight at 155? Does he want to fight it anymore? I mean, no one really knows Dustin before. He doesn't care to do media.
He's fighting Chandler.
But he is fighting Chandler.
He's fighting Chandler, but it's like, if he wins, he's not. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to get a title shot or not. It's hard to deny him. And then Chandler, if he wins, do you give him a title shot again?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. The whole thing's just kind of like complicated, because the top guys have either already just fought for a title, or they're fighting each other, and then Benil's just outside of them. So he's just kind of like, do I get to jump these guys, or do I have to sit and wait?
So I take back what I said about Dustin, because I forgot he had a fight. But with Benil though, I mean, who else are you gonna give the title shot to though? They're gonna give it to Volkanovski, which I kind of get, because
that's right.
So I get why they're gonna give it to Volkanovski. We'll get more into that in just a second with Volkanovski, but with Benil though, it's the only fighter that makes sense to give a title shot to though. I mean, everybody else besides him in the top 5 have fought for the title. Who else are you gonna give it to? And they've all gotten dominated since then.
Finished. Yeah, they all got finished.
Yeah, and so it's like, what do we do here? So, there's a lot to go on with that. I hope that they really consider Dariush, but now he's gonna have to wait probably 8 months for a freaking title shot, if he gets a title shot.
They'll probably give him some other guy who's probably ranked
who they
in the top 10, but they're gonna be like, oh, if you beat him, maybe you'll get it.
Yeah, so I really think that they're gonna find a guy that they think Benil cannot beat. They're gonna be like, just please take him out.
I feel like they probably thought that with Gamrot.
Yeah, and so I thought that, exactly.
And Gamrot's probably someone they were like, if you beat Benil, you understand that you don't get a title shot yet. But if Benil beats you, it makes us look bad.
Just get him out of the way. They just sent him in there as a hitman pretty much, and didn't work out how they wanted it to. But that's just more conspiracy shit. So, but on to the next fight, a very controversial one. But a great fight though was Sean O'Malley defeating Petr Yan by split decision.
Yeah,
Um,
it won fight of the night. I think it deserved to win fight of the night because it was very exciting. It was very back and forth. But the reason you, like you were saying with it, was with it being controversial. You go ahead.
yeah, so like with yeah, like I feel like it's controversial. I have Petoro Yan winning the fight. It's not that I dislike Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley is a great fighter, and we saw that, but we also knew that at the same time, though. Yeah, I don't really care for his personality too much, but that doesn't take away from his skill set. You can't deny it when it came down to him being a great fighter. But I mean, the first round opened up, and Jan is kind of showed everybody he's not a slow starter.
Yeah,
He went out there, he went straight for Sean O'Malley, but Sean O'Malley gave it right back. The story of the fight was just kind of back and forth. Jan was mixing up real well with the takedowns. I was surprised how much he was able to get Sean O'Malley down.
yeah. 6 takedowns to Sean O'Malley's 0.
Yeah, he also had almost 7 minutes control time. I feel like that says something. Also,
It sure does.
yeah, also had more total strikes than Sean O'Malley. Um, so with the fight though, I think with we saw Petorian, so there were some punches that he would throw that's like, man, like just be a little more technical with it and it's gonna land. But it was still fun to watch though. But there was times though where he would kick Sean O'Malley to the body. He's working Sean's body a lot, and I don't think Sean was used to that at all. And you would see Sean O'Malley just kind of wince in pain, but he didn't like getting hit. A lot nobody likes getting hit, but it's also one thing that you're not supposed to ever show you're
Yeah,
getting hit. You don't show your hand in a fight, and that's kind of what he was doing when he would get hit. He was showing his hand, and he showed that the body kicks hurt. He showed that when he would get rocked, he was just kind of out of it. So the third round though was probably the most exciting round. That says a lot because this whole fight was fun. But Sean O'Malley cuts open Pator. He hits him good, which is exactly what we expected. That he was going to eventually land a good shot. And yeah, the judges had it was a pretty split fight.
yeah. Two judges had it 1 round for the second round for Jan, and then the first and third for O'Malley.
Yeah,
And then one judge had 1 and 2 for Jan, and the third for O'Malley, which I agree with that. O'Malley definitely took the third, but I do not understand how you give him the first and second. It was close, but I think it's close, but it's obvious that Jan should have won that fight. I
right.
think.
And so even in the second round, Sean O'Malley rocked Patorian, but then Patorian rocks him right back. So
Yeah.
it's like that completely cancels it out. That
Marks him right
negates.
back and took him down.
Yeah,
Right.
then took him down, and most of that round, that's where most of the control time came from.
Yeah.
Was that round, and it's like that should signify that he won the second round, which it did. And all the judges
Yeah.
agreed that it was the second round that he won. But you look at the first round, I just felt that he won that fight. It won that first round and that second round. The third round, there were some things that I could tell Pator's just focused on just getting him down, and because of that, he gave up too many open shots to Sean O'Malley, and so I feel like that's what lost him the fight was that, and I had a feeling it was going to. I was even thinking, man, it's gonna be a split. It's gonna be for Sean, but just because of how much Pator was just not doing much in the third whenever Sean would hit him. And but it was a great fight. We finally got to see the fight that we thought O'Malley should have had a while back against the
Yeah.
number one guy in the world. He showed a bunch of toughness. Even he felt like he didn't even win that fight. When they asked him about it, he was
He
just
said he was pretty surprised.
yeah. And so like he was like, man, I didn't expect that, and it was just I don't know, but Sean O'Malley finally had a dogfight, and we've all been waiting to see, and he's a lot more durable than a lot of people want to give him
Do you
credit
see
for.
people saying they think he might have been concussed?
I think it was
Because of the way he was talking during that interview.
yeah,
And we want to say damage wins fights. What about damage you can't see?
yeah. And so
What
it was
about
it was very obvious he was concussed because he was kind of wide eyed the way if you just look into what the symptoms of concussion are, and Sean O'Malley had a lot of them. If he started throwing up, I'd be like, yeah, it's because he's concussed.
Yeah.
But he was kind of slurring his words a little bit. His eyes were kind of wide, like he really didn't seem like he knew what was exactly was going on. Like he was there, but he really wasn't, kind of thing. But yeah, no, he was definitely concussed. He's never been hit like that before. But I think that says right there that Sean O'Malley needs to fight guys who are gonna put him there. But
Yeah,
also, what I meant to say is spar guys also. Like he needs to start sparring heavier talent. He needs to start sparring guys who are gonna challenge him. And like this goes back to what you said though, is you start taking training a lot more serious when it comes down to it. And I don't know how Sean is with training. Maybe he does take it very serious, but
and that's what I'd said too. Maybe he does, but from what I see, it doesn't look like it. So that's all what cameras show, though. So you never know what goes on behind cameras. But I think if he doesn't take it seriously, that's kind of the fights he's going to end up in, and he won't be on the winning side every time. Even though his mindset is one where he has to be relaxed, like you can't be relaxed and also expect to fight for a title and win. You can't be the champion if you're relaxed like that. Israel Adesanya is relaxed, but when you see him in the gym, he goes hard.
Yeah, Israel Adesanya has also been doing this for a lot longer than
Yeah.
Sean O'Malley has. There's a reason why he's able to fight so fluid like that.
That kickboxing background versus Sean O'Malley's
MMA background,
not background,
yeah,
just MMA. Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely fight of the night. I really was happy with the fight overall. Not happy with the decision, but it was a close fight. It was a good fight. So,
would you say that Petorian's having a fall from grace since winning the title?
no. He fighting Sean O'Malley is going to be hard no matter what because naturally he poses a lot of threats. Just his size, his length, and the fact that he knows how to use his length, that's going to be hard for anybody. Peter Yan is very good. He'll be back. He's smart. We know he's got the championship mentality. He can come back and be just fine. Sean O'Malley's just a tough test because of his size, those things that he has naturally, but then you put his abilities into it too. It just makes it that much harder. But I think if they rematch, Jan takes it.
Right, I definitely think so too. But yeah, I think Jan took it from the start. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, man. I like.
Jan will be back. Is my point.
I hope he's back. He's very obviously very frustrated, and I don't blame him at all. But yeah, that's the only thing. If I was Sean O'Malley, I would definitely look into sparring much more like verse talent. You need to start challenging yourself in these sparring sessions because you could tell that he's never really been rocked before the way he was reacting to that. He's never been actually boxed to the body the way he was, the way he was reacting to that. But I don't think he's ready for a title shot. He'll maybe give him one more fight just to solidify. Okay, you know what? You're gonna get a title fight.
He needs to go train over at AKA. If he is going to get a title shot, go train over at AKA, and you'll be ready for Aljo.
Yeah, he's gonna need to. Like he needs to do something that's gonna just strictly focus on wrestling for the next couple months. Probably take a little break because you got hit pretty freaking hard.
Oh yeah, I'm saying if he does get that,
Yeah.
if Aljo gets him down, I don't see him getting back up.
Yeah.
Jan, we know Jan is well rounded, but Jan is not a grappler.
Right.
He doesn't want to do that. He did it because he had to. Aljo's a grappler. And O'Malley doesn't get back up if Aljo gets him down.
And that showed in the co-main event. Aljamain Sterling defeated TJ Dillashaw by TKO in the second round. And it's a very hard fight to call.
Yeah.
Just because it's like TJ dislocated his shoulder really early on in the first 30 seconds.
Trying to catch himself from a takedown that Aljo threw. He shot in real hard and got his placement real quick. So he kind of took TJ's feet out from underneath him, and TJ kind of panicked and threw his arm out to catch himself and blew his shoulder out. And then once, like, you can kind of see something's wrong. I think the commentators were even talking about it. And eventually he gets back to his feet and he's trying to like throw his arm back in place and like sit there and yank it on his arm, trying to bring himself back. Poor Aljo.
Yeah.
Because he looked good.
He looked great.
He looked great.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Just like in his fight against Jan.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. What sucks about that,
the first fight, to be clear.
Yeah, what's it called? So to kind of brush up on that too, though, is like what we talked about is the Ray Longo curse. Like, you look at all of the champions that Ray Longo has produced, and none of them have ever been taken serious as a champion. Matt Serra defeats GSP. Everyone says it's a fluke. GSP didn't take it serious, and of course GSP comes back and beats him after that because GSP always learns from his mistakes. And then you got Chris Weidman, who won the title from knocking out Anderson Silva. Everyone says it's a fluke. They rematch. He breaks Anderson Silva's leg. Everyone's like, that's not a real win.
Yep.
And then you look at the guys that he beat during his title fights. He beat Lyoto Machida in a fight that people thought Machida won. Then he fights Vitor Belfort, who's coming off of the whole TRT phase, and he's obviously a shell of a man. He's not who he was before. And then he loses the title, and then now you have Aljamain Sterling win the title, be the first champion ever to win by disqualification. Then goes
and he defends it very well.
Yeah. gets an obvious unanimous decision fight
Yeah.
over Jan. People are still mad about it. Fights TJ Dillashaw. Dillashaw dislocates his shoulder in the first 30 seconds, and Aljamain went out there and did exactly what Aljamain should do, and he still fought because TJ obviously wasn't going to quit. And people are like, well, you didn't really beat TJ though, you
Yeah.
know?
But I think it obviously plays a big factor in it. Like, you can't deny that it doesn't play a big factor
Yeah,
when when a fighter only has one arm. It's kind of hard to deny him that.
dude. Nick Noll does it all the time. Come on.
Nick Newell has an arm and a half.
Yeah.
TJ had one arm.
Arm was still connected.
If it's connected, but not here.
Okay. Well, if I ever
Nick
dislocate,
Newell's down here.
if I ever dislocate my shoulder in a fight, I'm gonna like fight, like what's the word, regret what I'm saying. But
Okay.
I was gonna keep going. I'm like, you know, fucking man, we got shit to talk about. There's
Yeah.
a lot to talk about.
So TJ, does he come back and get a rematch? I kind of hope not, because at this point, like, I want things to keep moving. There's a lot of people to go through. Nobody deserves it more than TJ. I do believe that.
Yeah.
And I know that's a controversial thing to say because of the cheating, but look at what he does every time he's in there, steroids or not.
Yeah, but like also though, like you look at the fight and like with TJ though, is he had said, you know, he had dislocated it 6 months before, I believe, and he had popped out of socket 20 times up until the fight. Then it pops out in the fight. And my take on that though is that if your arm is that severely injured, then you probably shouldn't be fighting.
Yeah.
Because all you did was screw yourself out of a fair title fight. Now you have to take off, and when you come back, who says that you're going to be even better after that? You know, now you, because the bantamweight division is stacked up. Who are you going to fight whenever you come back?
Yeah.
Now you, like, that title shot would have possibly still been there. Just fight one guy and then you get the title shot. And what's wrong with having to fight one more guy? You fought one guy and got the title shot. Okay, fight another guy and get the title shot. You got caught on steroids, so if you, I understand he's very much like, I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I agree with that, but it's like, how are you gonna prove you're still a legitimate contender whenever your first fight back was one that a ton of people are still saying you lost that fight. You know, if you have to prove, part of being a fighter is also proving that you're the best, and that involves not just being the champion but also beating contenders on your way up. You know, so that's just kind of how I feel about that.
Well, I agree with him that he doesn't have to prove that he's the best, because he didn't lose the title. He never lost the title. So in his mind, he's still a champion. Now he can officially say he's lost the title, if you were to try to hold up that argument. But there's an asterisk next to it that is just unfortunate. But I think even with, say TJ's shoulder didn't pop out, I think that fight goes the same. I don't think Aljo finishes it as early, but I think the fight goes the same pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. Also though, with that whole thing is some points. TJ always has an excuse for every time he loses. Have you ever noticed that? Every time he loses, he always has an excuse as to why he lost. And so I understand his shoulder dislocated. There's not an excuse for that, but it's like, but he was aware of it. So it's like going in. It just looks bad that it's like he went into a fight with a built-in excuse, you know, like knowing how severe it was.
I get it from that perspective, but I also get not wanting to risk your position and wanting it so bad that you don't care that your shoulder might get thrown out. He said they expected it to. It just happened a lot sooner than he thought.
Yeah, and so but yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I understand, you know, why people say, why he says he's the best, but the division has changed since you've been gone. You know, it's like looking at like Justin Gaethje right now. He doesn't want to fight anybody else except for the title. That doesn't mean you get the title shot. That doesn't mean you're the best. You know, we saw you lose when you fought for the title, so it doesn't make you the best. And I don't know, man. I really don't think he's the best bantamweight in the world. When he was champion, I 100% agree he was. But at the before the fight, was never like, man, TJ is the best in the world. Like, he's coming back even better. I was like, no, dude, Aljamain's about to fuck that dude up. And sad that we didn't get to see that because of the shoulder injury. So, and also what's kind of funny too, though, well, not funny, but because coincidental, is people who abuse steroids for a long time are really injury prone. I'm not sure if you knew that.
Yeah. I think statistically it shows.
Yeah.
As far as with heavy contact sports.
Yeah, so don't do PEDs, kids. So on to the main event though, because I'll keep rambling on about this fight. So
That's one of those ones that people are going to talk about until there's a genuine resolution.
yeah, I agree. I mean, until there is a clear victor in that fight, we're never gonna know. So hopefully TJ heals up quick, gets in there, and is able to get back to a title shot. Islam Makhachev is the new UFC lightweight champion, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty upset. Not that it's Islam. I do like Islam. I wanted to see more from Charles. I think everybody did, and everybody expected to. But I think Islam was more than what Charles expected, and I think he started getting popped on with those strikes. And then when he got taken down after getting dropped, he just wasn't present enough to do anything about it, and he got tapped out.
Yeah, it just well that first round was kind of very even, but it was Charles was where he wanted to be, Islam was where he wanted to be.
Charles was where he wanted to be, but he wasn't getting what he wanted. Normally, we see Charles on his back and we see him attacking, and the other guy having to pull out.
Right.
Islam wasn't worried; he wasn't pulling out.
Yeah.
So
Well, he was not.
I think Charles. That's why Charles went into that second round looking a little lost, because he was like, I don't really want to pull guard because it's not working, so I need to do something else. But while he's got that in his head, he's getting punched in the face.
Right. And it was just I don't know, man. It was a real. I feel like Islam easily won both rounds, especially well, obviously the second, but he won that first round. Charles just really didn't know what to do with it because, like you said, he was just getting stopped in every aspect when it came to the ground. Both these guys are ready for the ground game. Second round starts. Islam drops him with a punch. I think like halfway through, jumps on, gets that arm triangle in immediately after he drops him. It was crazy. That was the one thing I was kind of afraid of Charles doing was whenever he gets tagged, he just drops straight to his butt and goes to the ground. But a guy like Islam, I don't think he want to do that. But even before that, though, like Charles wasn't really doing any. He was like DC had even pointed out that Charles knows he cannot fight reckless in this fight.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's kind of screwed him a little bit because of the fact that he just wasn't letting his hands go and he wasn't really throwing much like we had seen him throwing recently. And Islam was like you said, like last time we talked about this, is Islam is Khabib with better stand up, and it's exactly what he was. He dropped him with a
2.0.
He dropped him with was it a left hand? I can't remember what punch he dropped him with, but he dropped him on his butt. I mean, he had the arm triangle in before he even fully passed it as side control. And as soon as he got it in, everyone was kind of saying like, "Oh man, Charles have quit. He still has that quitter in him." I want you to get a Dagestani wrestler on top of you and put you in an arm triangle and ask me how quick it is before it's fully in and you're tapping.
Yeah. And Charles was rocked while trying to defend it.
Yeah.
Like that's not. It's already a hard enough task.
Yeah, it's just
a
lot,
shaken up while trying to do it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, man. It was a lot. But I mean, Islam though he went out there and he fought the number one guy in the world and he won the belt. There's nothing else you can do about that. I don't really. I this is where it gets hard though, is because with the lightweight title picture, I don't know who to take. Who's gonna fight next? Is it the winner of Poirier versus Chandler? Is it Beneil Dariush? Is it? Dariush and Islam have already been set to fight multiple times.
Yeah.
So where I don't know, it's just a lot going on with that.
It's tough because, like we were saying, a lot of the top guys have just fought for a title, but now you have a new champion.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a new position. But like a Chandler or Poirier, whoever wins, I could see them getting a title shot.
Right.
But if Poirier wins it, does he even take it? If Chandler wins it, do you think he beats Islam? That makes for a fun fight. I think Islam's a bit more technically sound than Chandler, though. So I don't know. That lightweight thing, there's so much going on.
It's always an upside of having a new champion, though, is it opens a lot more title fights. It's like, okay, because
it's not an upside for Beneil.
No, not at all. But also the upside too is people were mad that Islam won the title, which I was mad that. Well, I was mad that he won the title, but before that, he's getting a title shot because he never beat anybody in the top 5.
Yeah, Charles said he didn't belong.
Now he's got the whole top 5 to fight because he didn't fight anybody in it. So that's something to look forward to. So did you see what Conor McGregor said about the fight?
No.
Who gives a fuck? So on to the next card. We got this weekend we have the main event is gonna be Calvin Kattar taking on Arnold Allen. So I was gonna say Arnold Undefeated Allen, but I was like, why the fuck am I gonna say that's not a nickname? No. But before that main event though, we have a great kickboxing match that's gonna happen. Yes. It's gonna be Dustin Jacoby taking on Khalil Roundtree Jr.
I really like Dustin Jacoby. I've been a fan of him ever since he got brought into the UFC. But Khalil Roundtree has become one of if not my favorite fighter. He's so fun to watch. Ever since he's learned from his losses, he's come back to be so like aggressive without being reckless. And I'm a big proponent of it's a fight. You got to throw what you got to throw. And when he throws what he has to throw, he throws it real freaking hard.
He throws over with ill intent.
Yeah, like he's not doing it in like a crazy like Joaquin Buckley. When Joaquin Buckley goes in there and throws, he's throwing crazy. Khalil Roundtree is throwing very precise strikes, but he's throwing it like it's every strike has to destroy your whole skeleton.
Absolute mad lad.
Yeah.
Like there's no other way to put it. I love Khalil Roundtree. I highly recommend checking out his 2 podcast episodes he did with Joe Rogan. They're just it's really inspiring to hear his story and to hear where he's came from. Where he just it was like he was a singer in a metalcore band. Then one day was like, you know what, fuck it, like I need to lose weight, and
Because he's over 300 pounds.
yeah, he was a big boy, and he steps into an MMA gym. Out of all MMA gyms, goes into Vanderlei Silva's MMA gym, and that gym is known for sparring hard. Out of shape guy says fuck it and does it. So if that tells you anything, fuck getting in shape. Just train; it'll get you in shape, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is what I always say.
Yeah, and I love it. I've grown to agree with the mindset. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Khalil Roundtree versus Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby has a very lengthy kickboxing record. He's fought in Glory multiple times. Yeah, if you go check out some of his kickboxing matches, just look at his highlights. If you're not a big kickboxing fan, he is just nonstop, dude. He has a very heavy pace.
He may not bring that explosive power that like Alex Bahia brings, but
Right.
he brings such a fun arsenal of striking to it. That dude will sit there and throw the entire fight from start to finish.
And he's a big boy too to be thrown how he does.
Mhm.
So I don't know how this fight is not the co-main event for this fight,
Yeah.
for this card. I mean, it's a great fight, but yeah, I don't see how it's not. It's just an incredible fight. I wish their names were a little bigger so we could actually get this as a main event. Because 5 rounds of these guys going at it would be a ton of fun.
I think so. I don't think it goes 5 rounds.
No, exactly.
And I hate to say it because I like Dustin, but I hope that it's Khalil who gets the finish.
Yeah.
I want him to just like freight train his way to the top.
What's really, I would love to see him fight for a title eventually. What's really, really hard also though is that you have Dustin Jacoby's finally like becoming an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
He's no longer just known as a kickboxer. So I don't know, man. I could just go on about this fight, but
I'm very excited for that fight, and there's a lot of other fights on that card that have some pretty notable names, especially with the prelims. I feel like that card has some pretty fun prelim fights. And there's like one more fight on the main card that I really want to say might be pretty good is Josh Fremd and Trayshawn Gore. I feel like that fight has the potential to be very good, but very main event heavy.
right.
Arnold Allen, Calvin Kattar is such a fun fight. I'm a big fan of Arnold Allen. Is he ready for someone like Kattar? I think is the biggest question going into this.
I personally think he is.
I want to say he is too, but I don't know if I'm just being biased.
No, I don't even think you're being biased. I mean, you look at he's undefeated in the UFC for a reason. He's tearing through everybody. You saw what he did in his fight against Dan Hooker. Look what he did to Sadiq Youssef.
Dude, that Sadiq Youssef fight was good. I was worried in that one, and
he's able to handle that power.
Yeah.
Calvin Kattar's coming off of a surprising loss to Josh Emmett. I mean, surprising in the sense of like I just didn't expect a longer, better boxer to lose to Josh Emmett. I love Josh Emmett. I think he's an incredible fighter. Also, his story is interesting as well too because he almost retired from MMA, then happened to get called into the UFC years ago, and he's finally healthy. So, but with Calvin Kattar though, it's just he needs a win bad. I don't know how desperate he's going to be in there. Something like him and Rob Font have been struggling a lot lately against some of these top guys, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. I don't like. It's very. I feel like they've been fighting very point heavy.
Yeah, I think so too. Who did Calvin Kattar fight before Emmett?
Giga Chikadze.
Chikadze, and that was a really good fight for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that one shows again. Even in a win, he's trying to fight very point heavy, trying to land as many shots as he can, versus going in there and trying to get the finish.
And that's what I wish Calvin Kattar, the fighter he was in there, is a fighter who could fight for a title any day.
Yeah.
I mean that was such a great performance by him in that fight. He went out there and earned the respect of everybody and Giga in that fight. And there's a lot of good things that he does. I don't know how his ground game is because Arnold Allen's good everywhere.
Yeah, Arnold Allen's a very, very good, well-rounded fighter. If it goes to the ground, I do give him the edge, even though I haven't seen Cater's ground game. I have faith in Arnold Allen.
Yeah, so it's another good one. So you're going Arnold Allen on this one.
Yeah, he's the mad lad.
He's the mad. He is a mad lad. So he had the whole O2 arena going crazy
Dude,
whenever
yeah.
he beat Dan Hooker. And so let's see. Hopefully, his mad lad pulls through this Saturday.
You got Arnold Allen as well?
I don't know who to pick. This is because I like both these guys. I'm gonna go Calvin Cater just because you went for Arnold Allen, and I just want to be know that
Hey,
I'm more
yeah, I
right
see
than
how it
you.
is. Drawing a line in the sand.
Yeah, just straight up.
You
I
know,
don't.
you're the Bloods. I'm a Crip.
Whoa, dude, fuck.
I'm the Crip. You're the Bloods. Who cares?
But no. I mean, you could have said you like the Starks are Lannisters or something. Like you went in heavy.
Sorry, not sorry.
Don't be sorry. It was kind of funny,
Okay.
but it just fucking threw me for a whirlwind, man. So
Micah.
yeah, let us know your thoughts on this weekend's matchups. Also be sure to check out some Fury FC highlights coming up soon.
Yeah, the Fury card going on right now has our buddy Hayden Bryars and Miles Banks fighting. Also Mia Grawl, and we have Amber Terrell fighting. Then there's Donovan from Heritage. He's fighting. There's so many good fights, amateur and pro. Right now you have Hector Sands fighting Jason Rivera. I'm watching that on my lap.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous right now.
This card is freaking sick for what Fury is, which it's bigger than what any other organization like it is.
Fucking name drop. No, I'm just kidding.
It's huge. This card, so I'm very excited about it. And then Cody Steele's fighting. Cameron Smotherman is fighting Karan Reed. Those two are very exciting. It's crazy for this to be a local card and like how exciting it is. You don't see that very often. But yeah, check out Fury. They got a lot of stuff going on. That's MMA this week.